Where were we? Let's continue.
Military Central Command now says U.S. fighter aircraft shot down an anti-ship cruise missile that was fired at a U.S. Navy destroyer in the Red Sea from a Houthi-controlled area of Yemen. And this comes just days.
Wait, this is shocking to me because I thought that... Oh, there's another tweet below it. I missed it. It's shocking to me because I thought American missiles were certainly to put an end... would certainly put an end to what's going on. I thought that that was the case. Okay, well, there's a word I recognize in that, okay? And I know that's not a good word. Or not necessarily a good word, but like a word that is probably not being used in a good context. Anyway, in the part 2. So, either watch a bunny cartoon or the MLK anime, please. Brother, it's Monday. We're covering some news, you know what I mean? That's crazy that you're like, I want to watch cartoons as like a 33-year-old man on a Monday afternoon.
After the U.S. and the U.K. launched strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen, the militant group vowed to retaliate. CNN's Oren Lieberman is joining us right now from the Pentagon. Oren, we're now learning what? That another ship was hit by a missile just off the coast?
Yes, the Houthi logo says "a curse upon the Jews" as his like last line. It's like, I think death to America, death to Israel, Islam will prevail, and a curse upon the Jews. I think is like their
What's the latest
motto.
We have seen more launches since the incident on Sunday in which a U.S. fighter jet shot down a cruise missile that was fired at a U.S. destroyer in the Red Sea. We've just learned from U.S. Central Command that there was a ballistic missile fired against a U.S.-owned and operated vessel. The Central Command did not say exactly where this happened, but the UK Maritime Security Organization said that this happened south of Yemen. The missile fired by the Houthis struck the MV Gibraltar Eagle, a Marshall Islands flagged, U.S.-owned and operated bulk carrier that was traveling through.
Yeah, this is shocking to me. I thought that like, I thought this was sold to me as like perhaps the most successful way of de-escalating. And it doesn't seem to have de-escalated the situation. As a matter of fact, it seems to have galvanized the popular support that they are now enjoying, right? Especially considering that despite the fact that the UAE and Saudi Arabia have their own dog in the fight, even the Sunni sects within Yemen have basically thrown their support not behind the Houthis directly, but certainly behind pushing back against Israel and even the blockade. So it's interesting that it's interesting that a lot of these guys were talking about how this is these guys are bad and they're unpopular and what they're doing is actually for the behest of stealing commercial vessels so they can, I guess, sell it or something, and that America's bombing campaign is totally just, and that it would absolutely stop once America blew up some positions inside of Yemen, and it turns out to have not been true. Even the Rand Corporation, as we showed the other day, which is not a liberal, peaceful dove by any means, considered this to be a smart idea or a good strategy whatsoever. And yet we got liberals here, so at least Hassan is live today and doesn't use the excuse that other people use. Wait, what do you mean? That is MLK Day? Anyway.
Through the Red Sea, obviously one
shot at Ethan? No, this is not a shot at Ethan at all. What are you talking about? Oh, because Ethan is not live? Is that what you... Guys, let him live. Okay? You're being such a weirdo for being like, why is my favorite comedy podcast not live on MLK Day? Like, I can't believe he took a day off. It's ridiculous. It's additionally ridiculous to come in here and complain about it. It's so far beyond my understanding of the world. Like, it's so far beyond my, interest that I didn't even comprehend that was what you were saying. That's crazy. Yeah, he has an entire team. Let him breathe.
One of the world's most critical waterways. Now, according to U.S. Central Command, there was minor damage to the ship and no injuries. And crucially here, the ship itself remained seaworthy, which is that it continued on its way as part of its voyage. But of course, the Houthis had promised to retaliate. They said that any U.S. or U.K. asset was a legitimate target. So this, perhaps part of the retaliation and the response that the Houthis had promised against the much more widespread U.S. and U.K. strikes that we saw on Thursday evening. Worth pointing out that the U.S. then carried out a follow-on strike 24 hours later. The Pentagon and the White House had expected a Houthi response. This may be part of it, but the expectation is there will be something, frankly, bigger, broader, and more powerful coming from the Houthis. Still, this is now the third or fourth launch we've seen from Houthi territory following the U.S. strikes. Makes clear that the Houthis retain and still have quite a bit of military capability to try to threaten Red Sea shipping here. The U.S., the U.K., and the other coalition there trying to safeguard that shipping to make the waterway safe. Wolf, I think with what you see here playing out over the last 24 hours, it is impossible to say that the waterway is safe at this point, even as the U.S. tries to get...
Wait, this is so shocking. God, color me surprised, guys. I'm still shocked. It's an incredibly shocking moment that the American de-escalatory bombing campaign didn't end up de-escalating, but they said it would, and everyone defended it as such and kept celebrating, as a matter of fact, like the attacks on commercial shipping will stop. We'll cease. Like that's what the weirdest losers were saying online.
There.
Yeah, Oren Lieberman at the Pentagon for us. It looks like this situation is escalating.
Yeah. Reactionaries be like, give bombs a chance. How about instead of give peace a chance? This is hardly an escalation. You stretching. You're right. Like, since when is directly engaging in a bombing campaign like considered an escalation? Like, you're right. Chatter, you're 100% right. 100 P. I apologize. You're right. I should actually admit that it is a de-escalatory measure, as a matter of fact. A de-escalatory bombing.
Big time indeed. All right, thanks very, very much.
All right, we're taking you now to the House of Commons, where we're hearing Prime Minister Rishi Sunak speaking. Let's listen in.
They fired on our ships and our sailors. It was the biggest attack.
Dude, honestly, listen, it says a lot about the Western mentality, but specifically the American mindset that, like, there are legitimately people who think that this is an act of de-escalation. Because, like, American hogs specifically think that the solution to gun violence is making sure your guns have guns. Okay? Like, that, yeah, you're right. That Call of Duty de-escalate by pointing a gun technique that is a meme, right, that we've joked about before, is unironically the modus operandi of many hogs in America, many hogs and hoglets. They literally do think, like, the only way to solve a issue is by, showing how awesome and mighty our weapons are. And that's how it works. Only 30% of people believe that. First of all, that's still a not insignificant number. And no, when I talk about reactionaries, I don't just simply mean the 30% Donald Trump supporters and whatnot. Okay?
On the Royal Navy for decades. And so we acted. We did so in self-defense, consistent with the UN Charter, and to uphold freedom of navigation, as Britain has always done. Alongside the United States, with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, we ordered the RAF to strike 2 Houthi military facilities in Yemen. I want to be clear that these were limited strikes. They were carefully targeted at launch sites for drones and ballistic missiles to degrade the Houthis' capacity to make further attacks on international shipping. I can tell the House today that our initial assessment is that all 13 planned targets...
Yeah, here's the de-escalation.
Special forces to stay inside! Get back inside. Oh, shit!
Wait, hold. What? Wait, that's how you de-escalate?
Stay inside.
Hold right click to de-escalate civilians. The difference, of course, is that you didn't shoot the civilian that time. And honestly, like, the American government's policy is actually shooting the civilian to de-escalate it.
Get back inside. Oh, shit!
Wait, hold. What? Wait, that's how you de-escalate? Stop! You de-escalate by aiming at them? Yeah.